Okay, I'm jumping on here real quick, and we just got back from Mexico, from Puerto Vallarta, and we stayed at a resort called Velas Vallarta. Sorry, my Spanish is not great. And it was an all-inclusive resort, and every day we were there, we posted a picture, and we did some hashtags, my Vallarta experience, my Velas experience, and tagged the hotel. And I had quite a few people reach out and wonder if we were being paid to be at this resort. So I wanted to talk about this. So let's talk about it. And not just this one specific event, but being a social media influencer and getting paid to do things. And I'll keep it quick, but I think it's an interesting topic. So with this event particularly, this resort, here's what happened. Our kids have 2 weeks off for spring break. We wanted to go on a trip. We don't have a lot of money. And so what we decided to do is we looked up, we have points on a certain airline. We found a place that was warm on the beach, and that was Puerto Vallarta, and that our family could fly to almost for free because of points with this airline. And then as soon as that happened, we're like, hey, you know what? Here's the truth. We have 115,000 followers on Instagram, and we live in this day and age where people will pay because of that. We do sponsored posts with people. We do ads for people, and we're not ashamed of that. We're not shy about that. We always make sure that the brands line up with something that makes sense for our family, for the season of life that we're in. And I'll get to that, back to that in a minute. So we have something called a media kit. It has all of our stats on social, what we charge to do advertisements for things, blah, blah, blah. So we're like, hey, let's give it a try. And this is the first time we've done this. We sent our media kit to a bunch of resorts and hotels in Puerto Vallarta. Most of them didn't get back to us, or if they did, they said it's high season. We don't do this right now. And Velas Vallarta got back and said, hey, we can't pay for you. Like we're not going to pay you. So no, we did not get paid to go to this resort, but we have a media rate that we can give you. And they're like, that's awesome. And the media rate worked for us. Also, the resort met all of our criteria. It was in the city we were already flying to. It was on the beach. It was family friendly. We'd never done an all-inclusive. That was like a dream, actually, to get to do an all-inclusive. And so we said yes. But let me be very clear. We were not paid to be there at this resort. The thing about social media and where we're at right now, I say all the time, social media is like the wild, wild west. Meaning that it's constantly changing. When we started doing this gig, that no one was getting paid to post anything, and then that's happening in kind of a lot. I always have to do a little bang fix once in a video. And so I remember the very first time someone reached out to us, and it was Target. That's the first people that paid us to do a post. And that was, I don't even know how many years ago. 3 years ago, not that long ago. And they wanted 3 pictures. I don't even think stories were a thing yet. I'd have to go back and look, but I don't think so. And they sent us clothes, and I'm like freaking out. I was so excited. Like, oh my gosh, we've arrived to this time where someone is going to pay us to wear their clothes on Instagram. Amazing. And not that we want our site to be a site that advertises, but even then, this is my point. Even then, you did not need to do hashtag ad or hashtag partner, or there's certain laws now that have been put into place. So since then, we've done a number of posts with people. Every single time we post to someone and we are being paid to do so, I say it because I have to. It's the law. You have to, not like anyone's going to arrest me, but Instagram is the one who's policing us. So we get policed by people sometimes because they don't think the language is right, but just know that the language is right. And we're not trying to trick anybody following us. All right. Our goal with our social media site and with what we're doing here in the world, what the lucky few is to create a more inclusive world. So when a brand reaches out and says, hey, we see your family. We see that all of you are very different. Not only do we have kids with Down syndrome, but we have a daughter who's African-American and Guatemalan, and all of our kids are adopted. So if a company reaches out and says, we want to use your family to advertise our products, friends, we should be celebrating that. That's what we should be doing. We shouldn't be like, well, what about this? And are you being paid? And now you're a sellout, and wherever people go with that. We should be celebrating that because that means that company is hoping to be more inclusive. This resort in Puerto Vallarta, Velas Vallarta, They saw our family and thought, hey, it would be great to have a family like this stay at our resort and get to experience what it is like to be in this resort. And that they recognize the importance of being an inclusive place. This is a big deal. This is important. This is what we're hoping for. So there's that. Here's the other thing, guys. And I know a lot of people in the social media world are in this boat. Look, my husband and I do this full time and nobody's paying us, right? Like just by putting our message out there, by every day showing up. We show up every day on social media. We engage with people. We're putting content out that I know is shifting the narrative. The amount of people who reach out to us and have decided to adopt or are changing the way that they look at schools or created a new dance program or no longer feel devastated about a Down syndrome diagnosis or decided, I mean, the list goes on and on. And I'm not saying this to be like, hey, look at what we're doing, but rather to say, hey, you guys, we're putting a lot of work into creating a more inclusive world. We're working our booties off to create a world where kids with Down syndrome and different abilities are seen as able and valuable, are given a space to be exactly who they are. We're working really, really hard over here and nobody is paying us. So when a company reaches out and says, hey, we're going to pay you to advertise our product, trust us, okay? Trust us that thank you. We need the money so we can keep doing the work, because if we don't get these jobs, then we're not going to be able to do the work. We're going to have to stop unless you guys want to start paying me. B, that just trust that we're going with brands and companies that we believe in, right? Like we did a shower head the other month. They're saving billions of gallons of water. That's awesome. So that's a product that we're going to post about. And so just trust that we're not just trying to use you. We're really not. We believe in our message, and we also know that we've got to make some money, and that's just the truth of it, friends. So I just wanted to jump on here and say that to the people who are concerned about whether or not we are being paid to advertise for a resort. No, we were not. And if we were, we would tell you. And when you see companies or families or businesses or Instagram people who are advertising for a product, and it's a family that you've been following for a long time, and you might be like, oh, I don't think I agree with this. Just remember, Instagram's not paying us, and we're working really hard, right? We're out here working really hard to shout the worth of people with Down syndrome, to shift the Down syndrome narrative, and to make a more inclusive world, and all of us are better off for that. All right, so that's what I wanted to talk about today. Would love if you want to leave some comments here. We can have a little conversation about it. And I'll see you next week with a new topic about what we should be talking about. Thanks, guys, for listening.